Have you ever noticed that the most powerful decisions are made in silence? Strange, isn't it that real transformation doesn't always announce itself with noise, arguments, or explanations? Carl Jung hinted at this mystery often, that the act of releasing quietly can be more revolutionary than shouting your truth to the world. What happens when you finally walk away from the habits, the people, the thoughts that no longer deserve a place in your life without saying a single word? I won't reveal it all yet. Keep listening, because the more we move forward, the more the hidden power of silence will unfold before you. Think about it. How many times have you carried things that only weighed you down? How many times have you felt your energy draining, your inner spark dimming, simply because you refused to let go? Today, I don't want to lecture you. I want to stand beside you like a companion on this battlefield of daily life. Because I know the exhaustion of explaining yourself again and again, of holding on to identities that don't feel like yours anymore, of keeping alive a version of yourself that you no longer even recognize. And if you are here, listening now, it is not by accident. Jung would have called this synchronicity, the exact moment when you are ready to hear a truth that has been waiting for you. It is time for something rare and personal. A cleansing, not with noise or resentment, but with stillness. Because as Marcus Aurelius once said, the quality of your thoughts shapes the quality of your life. So what are we doing here today? We are beginning the quiet removal of what doesn't belong in your soul. We are clearing the space where your strength can return. Let go of what drains you. Take back what empowers you. And to help you, I will share 10 lessons, 10 invisible burdens you must release. Not to satisfy others, not to fit into their expectations, but to finally set yourself free. Before we step into the first lesson, do me a small favor. If these words already resonate with you, subscribe to SYC Soul and tap the bell icon so you never miss what's coming next. And if you know someone struggling with the weight of silent battles, share this video with them. It may be exactly what they need. Now, let's uncover the first lesson. Lesson 1, removing the mask. Look around you. How many faces are real, and how many are masks? How many smiles hide exhaustion? How many confident voices are trembling inside? The first silent removal Jung invites us to make is this: release the false role you have been performing for the world. From the moment we are children, we learn to wear masks. We play the role of the good child, the obedient student, the successful adult. We keep adjusting, polishing, pretending until one day we forget what our own true face even looks like. Jung warned about this danger. He called it the persona, the mask we present to society. Useful at times, yes, but deadly if we mistake it for our real self. Think about it. How much of your suffering comes from maintaining appearances? You smile when you want to cry. You agree when you want to refuse. You stay silent when your heart wants to shout. Each time you deny your truth, a piece of you is buried under the mask. And slowly, the mask grows heavier than the person beneath it. The world tells you, be liked, be accepted, be what others expect. But Jung would whisper, be yourself, otherwise you will lose your soul while trying to save your image. And that is a trade no life can afford. Here is the quiet act of courage. Begin removing the masks. Not with anger, not with dramatic rebellion, simply with honesty. Stop apologizing for being yourself. Stop explaining why your truth doesn't match their expectations. Stop rehearsing the role you never wanted to play. This is not selfishness. It is survival. Because the longer you perform for others, the further you drift from yourself. And there is no emptiness greater than living a life that feels like theater. Pause for a moment and ask, what mask am I wearing today? Whose approval am I chasing? What would happen if I simply laid it down? That quiet honesty may feel terrifying, but it is also the first taste of freedom. And here's your re-hook. If removing the mask feels difficult, wait until you meet the next thief of life. It is not about who you pretend to be, but about what you delay being. The second lesson will show you how procrastination quietly steals your future while you are busy polishing your mask. Lesson 2. The thief of time. There is a silent thief that robs more dreams than failure ever could. It does not break down your door or scream in your ear. It whispers softly, "Not today. Tomorrow will be better." This thief is procrastination. And if the mask of Lesson 1 suffocates your truth, procrastination quietly buries your future. Carl Jung often reminded us that avoidance creates its own monsters. Whatever you refuse to face begins to control you. Procrastination is not laziness. It is fear disguised as comfort. You delay the difficult decision, the uncomfortable change, the bold step forward, not because you don't care, but because you are afraid of what might follow. And in that delay, life slips away, hour by hour. How many promises to yourself have ended with the phrase, "Someday? Someday I will change. Someday I will start. Someday I will become who I truly want to be." But someday is an illusion. It is a graveyard where countless dreams are buried, untouched, unlived. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." Imagine if today were your last day. Would you still delay the book you wanted to write, the path you wanted to walk, the truth you wanted to speak? Or would you finally begin? Jung put it even more sharply. You are what you do, not what you say you'll do. Think about that. Not what you intend, not what you hope, not what you plan. You are what you act upon. Every time you postpone, you are building a self of hesitation rather than a self of strength. So how do you break this? Begin small. Act now. Don't wait for courage, act while afraid. Don't wait for perfect timing, act while imperfect. Because every action taken today weakens the chains of procrastination, while every delay makes them stronger. The truth is this: the perfect moment never arrives. The only moment you will ever have is now. And now is enough to begin. But here's where it gets heavier. If procrastination steals the future, there is another enemy that strangles the present, the chains of your past. Old wounds, regrets, and failures you thought were behind you, but still live inside you. That is where we go next. Lesson 3. Chains of the past. Some chains are not made of iron, yet they hold tighter than steel. These are the chains of the past, the memories, regrets, and disappointments that haunt us long after the moment has passed. You cannot touch them, but you can feel their weight every day. And until you release them, the past will keep stealing your present. Carl Jung often warned that what we repress does not vanish, it waits. Old pain hides in the shadows of the psyche, shaping how you think, how you feel, how you act. You may believe you've moved on, yet the past lives on inside you, whispering through guilt, resurfacing as anger, or tightening as fear. But here is the truth. The past no longer exists anywhere except in your memory. It survives only because you feed it. Every time you replay the same hurt, you water the seed of suffering. Every time you rehearse what should have been, you give life to what no longer is. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Time is like a river made up of events, a violent stream, for as soon as a thing appears, it is carried away, and another comes in its place. The past has already been carried away. Only you are still clutching at the water." This does not mean ignoring your wounds. It means transforming them. Forgiveness is not about excusing others. It is about releasing yourself. Gratitude is not about pretending the pain was good. It is about seeing the lesson it forced you to learn. Every scar can become a reminder of survival instead of a symbol of loss. Resentment keeps you chained. Release breaks the lock. It is not a loud act, but a quiet decision. I will not let yesterday steal today. Pause for a moment. Do you feel this truth? Are the memories I'm describing echoing in your own life? If yes, tell me in the comments where in the world you're watching this video. I'd love to know who's on this journey with me. And if these words are connecting with you, Let me know you value this work. It helps me keep creating for you. But hold on, because we are only beginning. If the past is heavy, the next lesson strikes even closer. It reveals how leaning too heavily on others for strength can slowly weaken your own. And once you see it, you'll never look at dependence the same way again. Lesson 4. Dependency on others. There is a hidden trap that almost everyone falls into, often without realizing it. It is the belief that someone else will complete you, save you, or make you whole. This is the subtle prison of emotional dependency. Carl Jung observed that when we rely on others to fill our emptiness, we hand them power over our very soul. You begin to believe that without their attention, affection, or approval, you are nothing. And yet, this is an illusion. Your worth is not borrowed, it is born within you. Think for a moment. How many times have you felt powerless because someone ignored you? How many nights have you stayed awake, replaying a conversation in your head as if your existence depended on their words? That is not love, it is dependence disguised as connection. Love is freedom. Dependence is slavery. True connection happens between two whole people who choose to walk together, not between two broken ones using each other as medicine. Epictetus reminded us, no one can harm you unless you allow it. And the greatest harm comes when you decide that your peace depends on someone else's behavior. You must stop tying your inner balance to another's choices. You are already whole. You are already enough. When you build yourself up from the inside, you stop collapsing when someone walks away. You stop begging for pieces of love because you already carry love within. Pause here. If this truth stirs something inside you, if you feel even a small spark of recognition, then don't just keep it to yourself. Subscribe now to SYC Soul. Hit the notification bell so you never miss these lessons. And share this video with someone who might secretly be trapped in dependence. They may need to hear this more than you know. Dependency is not easy to see it. It hides behind the mask of care, of loyalty, even of romance. But when you look closely, you notice that it leaves you drained instead of empowered, anxious instead of calm. Real love never chains, it liberates. And once you realize this, the path forward becomes clear. The more you need yourself, the less you need from others. That is where your true strength is waiting. But wait, because the next danger is even more cunning. It doesn't come from another person, but from your own mind. Imaginary storms, invented problems, invisible enemies. Fears that you suffer as if they are real. And yet, most of them never even exist. Lesson 5. Imagined problems and fear of the future. How many times have you suffered in your mind from things that never even happened? How many nights have you battled shadow situations you imagined, conversations you rehearsed, disasters you predicted? This is one of the cruelest prisons, the habit of inventing problems that don't exist. Carl Jung once noted that the greatest threat often comes not from the outer world, but from the inner storms we create ourselves. Fear has a strange power. It convinces you that imagination is reality. You begin to live in the future instead of the present, worrying about events that may never come. Think about it. How many of the scenarios you feared actually became true? Research shows that more than 90% of our worries never happen. And yet, those worries still steal your peace, drain your energy, and shorten your life. You end up living 2 times, once in fear and once in reality. Marcus Aurelius warned, if you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it. It is not the imagined event that harms you. It is the way you obsess over it. You suffer twice, first in your thoughts, then in life itself. But what if you could stop suffering twice? What if you could stop rehearsing catastrophes that may never arrive? The key is not control, because you cannot control the future. The key is adaptation. Instead of asking, what if everything goes wrong? Ask, how will I respond if it does? That shift is the beginning of freedom. Living in fear is like paying rent for a house you will never live in. You are giving your energy to ghosts. The future is not here. The past is already gone. The only battlefield that exists is today. And today is always enough. So the next time your mind invents a storm, pause. Watch the thought, but don't obey it. Do not fight it, just observe it, and let it pass like a cloud across the sky. This is how you take your power back. And yet, fear is only one poison. Another even deadlier one hides behind it: resentment. While fear makes you imagine storms, resentment makes you drink poison every day. And in the next lesson, we'll uncover why forgiveness is not a gift to others, but the most powerful gift you can give to yourself. Lesson 6. Resentment and forgiveness. Resentment is a silent poison. You drink it hoping it will harm the one who wronged you, but it only corrodes your own soul. This is one of the heaviest burdens a human being can carry, the endless replay of old wounds. Carl Jung reminded us that unresolved pain does not disappear. It sinks into the unconscious and shapes us from within. When you hold on to resentment, you are not punishing others. You are chaining yourself to the very events that broke you. Every memory becomes a weapon turned against your peace. Yes, people have hurt you. Yes, life has been unfair. Yes, some wounds still burn. But here is the truth. You are not here to carry those flames forever. You are here to be free. And freedom begins when you decide that the past cannot steal another day from you. Seneca wrote, "The greatest victory is not over enemies, but over anger itself." Forgiveness is not about forgetting. It is not about saying what happened was right. Forgiveness means simply this: you stop dragging the weight. You stop rehearsing the same story. You stop being the victim of your own past. Think about how much energy resentment drains. Every time you remember the offense, your heart races, your chest tightens, your mind replays the pain. You live the injury over and over, even though the original moment has long passed. That is why resentment is worse than the wound. It lasts longer than the act itself. Letting go does not mean you allow injustice. It means you stop giving injustice a permanent home in your mind. It means you declare, "I deserve peace more than I deserve revenge." And in that declaration, healing begins. Pause here. Are you connecting with this? Are there faces, names, or memories flashing in your mind right now? If so, recognize that you have the power to free yourself today, not someday. Release resentment not for them, but for you. Because peace is not gifted, it is chosen. And when you choose peace, the chains fall away. But be warned, resentment is not the only illusion we carry. There is another deception, one that many chase their whole lives: the idea that happiness is a final destination, something waiting for you at the end of the road. In the next lesson, we will expose this lie and discover the real source of lasting joy. Lesson 7. The illusion of happiness as a destination. We have been told a lie since childhood. One day, when you achieve this goal, when you gain that status, when you finally own that thing, you will be happy. And so, like travelers chasing a mirage in the desert, we run endlessly after an illusion that always slips further away. Carl Jung often emphasized that the psyche seeks meaning, not pleasure. Yet modern life pushes us to believe happiness is somewhere out there, waiting for us after the next achievement. But the truth is harsh. If you chase happiness as a destination, you will never arrive. Because the moment you reach one milestone, your mind immediately asks, "What's next?" And so the race continues without a finish line. Marcus Aurelius and the Stoics never described happiness as something to obtain later. Instead, they spoke of a eudaimonia life lived in virtue, harmony, and presence. Happiness, in this view, is not a prize, but a practice. It is found not in reaching the peak, but in the steps you take each day. Think about it. Have you ever achieved something you dreamed of, only to feel empty the next week? That is the trap of conditional happiness. It promises joy in the future, but robs you of peace in the present. True fulfillment is here, in this breath, in this choice, in this moment. Even when life is not perfect, you can still choose alignment with your values, and that choice is joy. The illusion of someday happiness is dangerous because it convinces you that today is not enough. It blinds you to the small treasures already around you: the morning sun, the laughter of someone you love, the strength of your own resilience. Pause and reflect. Are you chasing an image of happiness that never arrives? Or are you willing to plant joy in today, even if tomorrow is uncertain? The Stoics were clear. Success is not measured by applause, possessions, or status, but by the calmness of your inner state. Happiness is not something you hunt, it is something you build. But beware, because even when you begin to find joy within, another subtle weight drags you down: the need to constantly justify yourself to others. And in the next lesson, we'll uncover why explanations are chains and how silence can become your greatest strength. Lesson 8. The burden of justifications. How many times have you felt the urge to explain yourself, to defend your choices, your feelings, your very existence, just to make others comfortable? This endless cycle of justifications is one of the most subtle prisons we build for ourselves. Carl Jung taught that when we betray our inner truth for the sake of appearances, we fracture the self. And constant justification is exactly that, a fracture. Every time you explain yourself, you hand over a piece of your power as if you are asking permission to live. But you are not here to live by permission. You are here to live by conviction. Think about it. How often have you delayed your dreams because someone might not understand? How often have you changed your words or softened your truth so others wouldn't judge? These are invisible chains. The more you explain, the more you begin to doubt yourself. Epictetus put it simply: we are not responsible for what others think, only for what we do. Your task is action, not persuasion. Your task is integrity, not explanation. When you live aligned with your values, you no longer need to shout. Your life itself becomes the statement. This doesn't mean arrogance. It doesn't mean rejecting advice or refusing to listen. It means that the center of your decisions rests within you, not in the shifting opinions of others. The crowd will always have something to say, but their noise does not define your path unless you allow it. Imagine walking forward with quiet clarity, unshaken by whether others applaud or criticize. That silence is not weakness, it is strength. Because every explanation you avoid becomes another weight lifted from your shoulders. Pause for a second. Do you feel how heavy justifications have been in your own life? And can you imagine how light it would feel to let them go? The truth is, explanations are chains. Conviction is the sword that breaks them. And the moment you stop asking for permission to be yourself, you begin to taste true freedom. But there's still another trap, one even closer to the body: habits. The daily choices that seem small, but quietly shape your destiny. In the next lesson, we'll uncover how toxic routines silently destroy your strength and how discipline can restore your inner fire. Lesson 9. Toxic habits and self-sabotage. Every day, without realizing it, many of us weaken ourselves, not through great disasters, but through small, repeated choices. These are the toxic habits that quietly eat away at our strength. And though they seem harmless, they carry the power to destroy the body, cloud the mind, and dim the soul. Carl Jung once wrote that people do not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious. And what is darker than the self-sabotage we practice daily? Too little sleep, endless distraction, eating not from hunger, but from frustration, drowning in noise instead of silence. Each of these is a hidden chain. You may not notice it at first, but little by little, they steal your vitality. The danger of bad habits is that they often wear the mask of comfort. They whisper, "Just one more hour scrolling," or "This will help you relax." But comfort is a liar. These habits don't soothe you, they trap you. They trade long-term strength for short-term relief, leaving you weaker with every repetition. Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, had every excuse to live in excess. Yet he rose at dawn, trained his mind, cared for his body, and wrote in his journal to sharpen his soul. If even an emperor chose discipline over indulgence, what excuse do we have? Ask yourself honestly, what habits are silently killing your potential? You already know the answer. You don't need more information. You need decision, discipline, and determination. Because every toxic pattern you let go of is one less weight holding you back. And every small positive routine you add, sleep, reflection, movement, silence, becomes an investment in your future self. Pause here. Think of one habit that drains you. Can you picture how much lighter you would feel without it? Can you imagine the energy you'd reclaim? This is where real change begins, not with grand resolutions, but with small daily victories. But even if you win against your habits, one final challenge remains. It is not about your past, your fears, or your body. It is about where you place your focus. For many, that focus is turned outward, criticizing, judging, blaming. And in our final lesson, we'll reveal why constant criticism is a trap and why true transformation begins not with pointing fingers, but with looking deeply into yourself. Lesson 10. Criticism versus self-observation. There is one final illusion that keeps countless people trapped: the obsession with criticism. Some spend their lives judging others, dissecting their flaws, pointing fingers at every weakness they see. Yet strangely, the more they criticize, the less they grow. Why? Because criticism directed outward is often nothing more than a mirror of what they refuse to face within themselves. Carl Jung often reminded us that everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves. This is not just psychology, it is a map to freedom. When you spend your energy condemning others, you avoid confronting your own shadows. Criticism becomes an escape, a way to feel powerful while staying blind to your deepest wounds. But what happens when you reverse the focus? When instead of asking, "What is wrong with them?" you ask, "What is this reaction teaching me about myself?" That is when growth begins. Self-observation is the turning point. It transforms irritation into insight, conflict into clarity, and pain into progress. The Stoics knew this too. Epictetus taught that we cannot control others, only our responses. So if your peace depends on judging the behavior of others, you will always be restless. But if your peace is rooted in understanding and mastering your own reactions, you become unshakable. Pause for a moment and reflect. How much time have you lost in criticism of family, friends, coworkers, strangers on the street? And what if all that energy had been redirected inward to sharpen your mind, discipline your habits, and strengthen your character? That shift alone could change your life. Criticism is easy. Self-observation is hard. But only one of these paths leads to transformation. To look inward requires courage, because you will uncover truths you have long avoided. Yet it is in that confrontation that freedom is found. So ask yourself now, are you ready to turn the mirror inward? To silence the noise of judgment and begin the work that truly matters? Because once you do, you will no longer be a prisoner of opinions, yours or anyone else's. And as we step into the final lesson, we will bring all these insights together. From masks to habits, from false happiness to criticism, we have uncovered Jung's map of transformation. But before we close, let us remind ourselves of the journey and why the greatest adventure is not out there, but within. And so, we arrive at the end of this journey, but in truth, it is not an end at all. Every lesson we have explored is a doorway, and behind each doorway lies the same destination, the self. Carl Jung believed that the greatest task of life is individuation, the process of becoming whole by embracing every hidden part of who we are. The false masks we wear, the shadows we deny, The fears we avoid, the habits we nurture, the illusions we chase, and the criticisms we project, all of them are fragments of a puzzle. And when you bring those fragments into awareness, you finally see the image of your true self. Think back on what we have uncovered, the danger of hiding behind roles instead of living authentically, the necessity of facing your shadow instead of pretending it doesn't exist, the emptiness of chasing happiness as a destination, the weight of constant justifications, the silent poison of toxic habits, the trap of outward criticism that blinds you to inner growth. Each of these is not just a lesson, but a challenge. They ask you not merely to listen, but to act, to strip away what is false, to confront what is hidden, to choose discipline over indulgence, to replace criticism with self-observation, and above all, to accept the truth that meaning, not pleasure, is what the soul hungers for. The Stoics echoed this wisdom centuries before. They reminded us that freedom does not come from controlling the world, but from mastering the self. And Jung gave us the tools to recognize that the monsters we fear are not outside us. They live within us, waiting to be understood. So, as you close this video, the real work begins. Will you go back to the old patterns? Or will you take even one small step toward authenticity? Because transformation is not a single moment, it is a daily choice. And now, I have a request. If this journey spoke to you, if you found yourself reflecting, questioning, and awakening through these words, then don't keep it to yourself. Subscribe to SYC Soul, hit the like button, and turn on the notification bell so you never miss what's coming next. Share this video with someone who needs these truths today. Remember, the path of self-discovery is not easy, but it is the only path that leads to freedom. And it begins not tomorrow, not someday, but now.